Are you a puppet on strings, dancing to a tune you didn't write? Do you ever feel a phantom hand guiding your actions? A whisper in your ear, urging you towards a path you didn't choose? Perhaps you found yourself drawn to a screen's hypnotic glow, a substance's fleeting embrace, or a behavior's repetitive rhythm, unable to break free from its seductive grasp. This, my friend, is the labyrinth of addiction, a place where shadows dance and illusions masquerade as reality. We often think of addiction as a distant problem, a vice that afflicts only the weak-willed or the unfortunate. But the truth, like a serpent coiled in the undergrowth, is far more insidious. Addiction is a silent thief, creeping into our lives under the guise of pleasure, comfort, or escape. It's a master of disguise, morphing into countless forms, from the fleeting high of a drug to the endless scroll of social media, from the gambler's intoxicating hope to the workaholic's relentless pursuit. Consider the allure of technology, the siren song of the digital age. A device, once a tool, now a temptress, whispering promises of connection and distraction. We succumb to its seductive call, losing ourselves in the infinite scroll, our minds hypnotized by the flickering light, our thumbs tapping out a frantic rhythm on the screen. Hours melt away like snowflakes on a warm hand, leaving us with a hollow ache and a yearning for more. This is the new face of addiction, born from the digital revolution. Social media, with its curated feeds and its relentless pursuit of validation, can become a potent drug, feeding our need for approval and leaving us craving the next like, the next comment, the next fleeting moment of online affirmation. Gaming, with its immersive worlds and its promise of escape, can ensnare us in its virtual embrace, blurring the lines between reality and fantasy. But the reach of technology extends far beyond these digital domains. It has also revolutionized the way we access and consume addictive substances. Online drug markets, hidden in the dark corners of the internet, offer a readily available source of illicit substances, delivered with a click of a button. Prescription drug abuse, fueled by the ease of obtaining medications online, has become a growing epidemic. The anonymity and accessibility of the internet have created new challenges in the fight against addiction, demanding innovative solutions and a global response. To fully grasp the complexity of this struggle, we must journey through time, exploring how different cultures and eras have perceived and addressed the enigmatic nature of addiction. In ancient civilizations, substances like alcohol and opium were often revered as sacred or medicinal, their use intertwined with religious rituals and healing practices. The ancient Greeks, for instance, believed that wine was a gift from the gods, a source of inspiration and revelry. In many indigenous cultures, hallucinogenic plants were used in shamanic ceremonies to connect with the spirit world and seek guidance from the ancestors. However, the historical narrative of addiction is not without its darker chapters. The Opium Wars of the 19th century, a brutal clash between British imperial ambitions and Chinese resistance to the opium trade, serve as a stark reminder of the devastating consequences of addiction when exploited for profit and power. The 20th century witnessed the rise of the war on drugs, a global campaign that sought to eradicate drug use through prohibition and criminalization. This approach, while well-intentioned, often led to unintended consequences, fueling mass incarceration, stigmatizing those who use drugs, and driving the drug trade underground. Today, we stand at a crossroads, grappling with the legacy of past approaches and seeking new pathways to address the challenges of addiction. Harm reduction, a philosophy that prioritizes minimizing the negative consequences of drug use rather than solely focusing on abstinence, has emerged as a promising alternative. Needle exchange programs, safe injection sites, and opioid substitution therapies are examples of harm reduction strategies that have been shown to reduce overdose deaths, prevent the spread of infectious diseases, and connect people who use drugs with treatment and support. Furthermore, the legalization of certain substances, such as cannabis, is gaining momentum in many parts of the world. This shift in policy reflects a growing recognition that criminalization has failed to curb drug use, and has instead created a host of social and economic problems. Legalization, proponents argue, allows for regulation and taxation, generating revenue that can be invested in education, prevention, and treatment programs. It also reduces the burden on the criminal justice system, freeing up resources to address more serious crimes. The societal impact of addiction is a heavy burden, a weight that presses down on healthcare systems, strains the criminal justice system, and fractures the fabric of communities. Hospitals overflow with patients suffering from the physical and mental consequences of addiction. Emergency rooms become battlegrounds in the fight against overdose, their staff stretched thin by the relentless tide of human suffering. Prisons bulge with inmates whose lives have been derailed by addiction, their crimes often driven by desperation and despair. The economic costs of addiction are staggering, draining resources from healthcare, law enforcement, and social services. But the toll of addiction extends far beyond these tangible costs. It erodes the very foundation of society, leaving a trail of broken families, shattered dreams, and lost potential in its wake. Children grow up in the shadow of addiction, witnessing the slow disintegration of their loved ones, their innocence stolen by the harsh realities of their environment. Communities crumble under the weight of addiction, their streets plagued by crime, their spirit crushed by despair. But perhaps the most profound questions raised by the phenomenon of addiction delve into the very nature of human existence, our inherent vulnerabilities, and our unending quest for meaning and fulfillment. Why do we seek escape, even when it leads to our own destruction? Is it an inherent flaw in our design, a primal urge to transcend the limitations of our mortal coils? Or is it a symptom of a deeper malaise, a yearning for something more, a longing for a connection that eludes our grasp? Are we truly free in our choices, or are we merely slaves to our desires, our compulsions, our deeply ingrained habits? Is anyone truly free from addiction, or are we all bound by some invisible chain, some subtle compulsion that shapes our thoughts and actions? These are the questions that philosophers have grappled with for centuries, and they remain as relevant today as ever before. And what of our ethical responsibility towards those who struggle with addiction? Should we condemn them for their perceived weakness, cast them aside as outcasts, or punish them for their transgressions? Or should we embrace them with compassion, offer them a helping hand, and guide them towards the path of healing and redemption? The way we treat those who are addicted speaks volumes about our values, our humanity, and our understanding of the human condition. Or perhaps you're drawn to the thrill of the gamble, the intoxicating hope of a windfall, a momentary escape from the mundane. The roulette wheel spins, the cards are dealt, and for a fleeting moment, you're transported to a world of possibility, where fortunes are won and lost on the turn of a card. But the house always wins, and the gambler, chasing the elusive dragon of luck, finds himself trapped in a cycle of risk and regret. Maybe it's the comfort of a substance, a chemical crutch that promises solace from the storm. The first sip, the initial rush, a momentary reprieve from the weight of the world. But the relief is fleeting and the price is steep. The substance, once a refuge, becomes a prison, its bars forged from dependence and despair. These are just a few glimpses into the multifaceted world of addiction. But what lurks beneath the surface? What is it that drives us to these compulsive behaviors, these repetitive rituals that offer fleeting pleasure at the cost of our freedom? Is it a weakness of character, a moral failing, a flaw in our design? Or is there something deeper at play, a hidden force that pulls the strings of our desires? Some say it's a matter of choice, a simple matter of willpower. Just say no, they proclaim, as if addiction were a mere inconvenience, a bad habit to be broken with a stern resolve. But is it really that easy? Can we truly choose freedom when our minds are clouded by craving, our bodies racked with withdrawal, our spirits crushed by shame? The truth, as elusive as a wisp of smoke, is that addiction is a complex interplay of biology, psychology, and environment. It's a dance between nature and nurture, a battle between our desires and our better judgment, a tug of war between the conscious and the subconscious. Our brains, those magnificent organs that shape our thoughts and feelings, are wired for reward. When we experience pleasure, whether it's from food, sex, or a simple act of kindness, our brains release dopamine, a neurotransmitter that floods our system with a sense of well-being. This intricate reward system, essential for our survival, can be hijacked by addiction. Over time, our brains can become conditioned to associate certain behaviors with pleasure, creating a neural pathway that leads us down a treacherous path. This can lead to a compulsive cycle of seeking out these behaviors, even when they are harmful, even when they threaten to consume us whole. But the brain's role in addiction is far more intricate than a simple dopamine rush. Imagine the brain as a vast network of interconnected pathways, like an intricate tapestry woven with threads of neurons. Addiction, like a persistent vine, twists and contorts these pathways, altering the very architecture of the brain. The prefrontal cortex, the seat of reason and decision-making, becomes weakened, its ability to exert control over impulses compromised. The more we indulge in addictive behaviors, the stronger these altered pathways become, making it increasingly difficult to break free from their grip. This is why recovery can be so challenging, a relentless uphill battle against deeply ingrained neural patterns. Furthermore, addiction doesn't exist in a vacuum. It thrives in environments that foster vulnerability and despair. Poverty, with its lack of opportunity and its crushing weight of stress, can create a breeding ground for addiction. Trauma, whether it's from abuse, neglect, or violence, can leave deep scars on the psyche, making individuals more susceptible to seeking solace in substances or behaviors. Peer pressure, especially during adolescence, can exert a powerful influence, leading young people to engage in risky behaviors in a desperate attempt to fit in. To truly understand the grip of addiction, we must look beyond the abstract and delve into the lives of those who have been touched by its icy fingers. Consider the story of Sarah, a bright young woman with a promising future, who fell prey to the allure of gambling. What began as a harmless pastime quickly spiraled into a devastating obsession. Sarah spent countless hours at the casino, chasing losses and neglecting her responsibilities. Her once vibrant spirit dimmed, replaced by a hollow shell of anxiety and despair. Her relationships crumbled, her finances dwindled, and her life teetered on the brink of ruin. But Sarah's story doesn't end there. With the support of her loved ones and the guidance of a therapist, she embarked on a journey of recovery. It was a long and arduous road, filled with setbacks and temptations. But Sarah persevered, drawing strength from within and finding solace in the company of others who understood her struggle. Today, Sarah is a beacon of hope, a testament to the resilience of the human spirit. Addiction's tendrils reach far beyond the individual, ensnaring families and communities in its web of destruction. Imagine a family torn apart by a parent's substance abuse, the children caught in the crossfire of neglect and instability. Or picture a community ravaged by the opioid epidemic, its streets littered with the casualties of addiction, its spirit broken by despair. These are the human costs of addiction, the silent tragedies that unfold in the shadows. But addiction is more than just a chemical imbalance, a glitch in the matrix of our minds. It's also a psychological phenomenon, a way of coping with the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune. We may turn to substances or behaviors to numb our pain, to escape the harsh realities of life, to fill a void that gnaws at our souls. This can lead to a distorted sense of self, a belief that we are not enough, that we need something outside of ourselves to feel complete. So, are you trapped by your own addictions? Peer deep into the mirror of your soul and answer honestly. Do you recognize the puppet master within, the hidden forces that shape your thoughts and actions? If you find yourself struggling to break free, know that you are not alone. There is help available, and there is hope for recovery. The path to freedom is not always easy, but it is worth it. It requires courage, commitment, and a willingness to confront your demons, to delve into the darkest corners of your being. But with the right support and guidance, you can break free from the chains of addiction and reclaim your life. Remember, The power to change lies within you. You are not defined by your addictions, but by your capacity for growth, resilience, and transformation. Recovery is not just about abstaining from harmful substances or behaviors. It's about rediscovering your true self, your passions, your purpose. It's about rewriting the narrative of your life, replacing the story of addiction with a story of hope, healing, and redemption. As you navigate the labyrinth of your own life, take a moment to reflect on your behaviors, your habits, your patterns. Are there any hidden strings attached? Any whispers urging you towards a path you didn't consciously choose? If so, don't despair. Acknowledge the shadows, embrace the challenge, and seek the support you need to break free. And remember, the journey to freedom is not a solitary one. We are all interconnected, bound by a shared humanity. Reach out to those who are struggling. Offer a helping hand, a listening ear, a compassionate heart. Together, we can create a world where addiction no longer holds sway, where every individual has the opportunity to live a life of purpose, joy, and authentic freedom.